My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Passengers. And this review will have spoilers, so there's your warning. But I remember back in 2016, I was very excited for this movie. I mean, it has a great premise. It has Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence in a sci-fi movie. It's directed by the man who made The Imitation Game. Like, count me in. But then the reviews came out and they were not good. No, they were not good at all. And I lowered my expectations, but I still really enjoyed this movie. And it's kind of funny because I see people hate on it all the time online, but every real person I know who has seen this movie loves it. So I feel like there's a real disparity between the online perception of this movie and the real life perception of this movie. But on Rotten Tomatoes, it still has a 30% from the critics and a 63% from the audience. But I just rewatched this movie and I gotta admit, it's even better than I remembered. Like, this is a great movie, so let's begin by addressing the elephant in the room. And some of you might not want to hear this, but here is the honest truth. Every single one of you, no exceptions, every single person would do the same thing Jim did. That doesn't make it right, but it is a very human response. And I feel like some of the criticism of this movie is based in ignorance, where someone is like, oh, that guy does a bad thing, but I'm a good person and I would never do that. Stop. You would. Like, you just would. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So, yeah, I'll talk more about the story shortly, but I also hear the criticisms that this movie should have been from a war's point of view, or it should have been a horror movie, and both of those could have really worked. Both of those could have made great movies, but I'm not talking about movies that don't exist. I'm talking about the movie that does exist, and this movie is still great as it is. So, the big thing here, and it's the most compelling part of this movie, it's about loneliness and how isolation can drive people to do bad things. It's about depression. It's about the need for human connection. It's about how you choose to spend your life. It's about how love is simply what makes life worth living. And it does go about it in a very challenging way, but I don't think it shies away from the ramifications of Jim's actions. Like, he is a very flawed, but a very compelling and a very human character. So I love the way the movie explores all those ideas. I really do think it's effective, and I also love how this movie looks at time. Like, when Jim wakes up and he realizes that nobody else will wake up for another 90 years, you just feel this giant dramatic weight. Like, this guy is screwed. And, like, he's obviously driven mad by his isolation, and he knows waking up Aurora is the wrong thing, but he does it anyways, and he does feel like shit, and he does get held accountable. But I do think the romance still works. This is still a very sweet and charming movie, while being also dramatic and emotional and heavy when needed. It's a very difficult balancing act, but I feel like this movie nails it, and it is a very accessible movie. I also like how we do get some of the more exciting stuff in the last act. Well, the gravity is getting messed up. That swimming pool scene is so cool. I also love that one scene where Jim and Aurora are running and they just get shifted over to the right a little bit. Just a really cool scene. And it manages to be quite tense and exciting and emotional at the end. I do think this is a very well-directed movie by Morten Tyrdom. I kind of wish he did more movies like this. The visuals are very strong. I love the design of this ship on the outside and on the inside. The production design team really knocked it out of the park. And I find it funny how this movie ends on an Imagine Dragons jump scare. Like, it just happens so sudden, but I do really like the song Levitate by Imagine Dragons. Like, it's no enemy, but it's solid. I also do love the music by Thomas Newman. It adds some nice sentimentality to this movie. It adds some nice emotion, and it elevates certain moments. Like, that spacewalk scene is just beautiful, and it captures a sense of awe and wonder, and Thomas Newman had a big role in that. I actually do remember watching this movie in theaters, and I remember, this sounds like Thomas Newman. This sounds like Saving Mr. Banks. This sounds like Finding Nemo. And when it turns out I was correct, I was like, yes, I nailed it. I also do think the entire cast does a really great job. Chris Pratt is such an underrated actor. Like, I know people love to hate on him, but he really does do a great job here. He brings lots of personality to his character, but he also brings the dramatic weight necessary. He carries this movie so incredibly well, and Jennifer Lawrence does a great job as well. I know she's spoken out against this movie and said she regrets starring in it. She shouldn't. She really does stand out here, and I like how charming her character was, and she is very well written. We've also got Michael Sheen here, and I thought he did a pretty good job as Arthur, the bartender robot dude. He brings enough personality to him. Lawrence Fishburne does a pretty decent job. And it's really weird they got Andy Garcia for like 2 seconds of screen time with no dialogue. Just weird. So, I love so much of this movie. Like, it does really work for me. But I do think the ending of this movie could have been done a bit better. It does feel a little rushed by the end, and there are moments that feel clumsy. Not every single moment is executed to perfection, but as a whole, I still love this movie. Look, I said it before, and I'll say it again. I think so much of the criticism of this movie lacks any bit of understanding of the human condition. I think it lacks any self-reflection. And look, if you don't like this movie, that's fine. It's all subjective. But I do think some of the reasons are pretty absurd. And, like, oh, it should have been this. It should have been this. It should have been this. I would never do that. Just look at the movie for what it is and what it's trying to say. Oh, but it's a Stockholm Syndrome movie. You could say that about Beauty and the Beast 2. Like, Beauty and the Beast 1. You know what I mean. But I feel like lots of the criticism here is done in bad faith because Jennifer Lawrence was getting hate around this time. People were getting sick of Chris Pratt. And look, they did a great job here. This movie is very entertaining. It is challenging. It actually has lots of dread to it, and it does have lots of dramatic weight. There's challenging ideas, the characters are flawed but compelling, and it still manages to be sweet and charming and exciting and thrilling, and it's a movie that I could watch in any mood. And it's very well directed, visually looks remarkable, and the sound is very good as well. So I'm going to give Passengers an 8 out of 10. Okay, have you seen Passengers? What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin out.